need to rely on the relationships you got with the people who are inside the facility. Things change all the time. Every facility is different. Things break, things run smoother, longer than you thought. They can be better or worse. And if you don't have the right people and the right people who you can ask questions and rely on to answer those questions or give you feedback, if you don't foster those relationships, then you're not going to get anywhere. I've always led first with a friendly relationship first and got to know people before you realize, like, okay, this is someone I can lean on and ask questions about and do a favor for, with the anticipation of maybe getting a favor in return later. Because at the end of the day, everybody who is in the facility you're working in is a part of a broader team. And you need to have those relationships, A, to keep the work environment good, but B, to get the work done. You want to have friendly relationships going at all times. I think that's the best way to get through any job.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Colutus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Welcome back to Facility Rockstars. I'm your host, Jay Culbert, and I'm really looking forward to introducing you to today's guest, right? He has over 13 years of experience in the construction and facilities industry. He brings not only expertise in project management and efficiency, but also a deep commitment to building a more sustainable future. He's passionate about motivating his teams, fostering strong relationships, and he exemplifies the values of leadership and collaboration. He has unique skills in the areas of hot sauce, and we will dive into that more later. I'm just going to say he's pretty much an all-around facilities badass. And, his current role is construction site operations manager for Fluor Corporation at 2 Procter & Gamble sites. And if I were to say World Shaving Headquarters, I'm guessing most local listeners will know what building that is. Gabe Buds, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Jay. Appreciate you having me on, and good to be here. First time recording a podcast, so it'll be my first stab at it, maybe first of many. Who knows?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a blast. I already know it's
Yeah,
going to be a blast.
yeah,
Thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time.
yeah. Of course, absolutely. I'm glad we finally got this thing going.
I know. We got our audio going. We got it all going on, man. All right,
Yep.
so we're rolling.
All right.
You and I obviously talk occasionally, and we talk biz all the time. And one question that I've probably never asked you is, what's the biggest lesson you've learned as a facilities manager?
Well, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind, and I think a lot of people would have a different answer for this, but I think the best broad enough answer that I can give to you is that you need to rely on the relationships you got with the people who are inside the facility. Um, because, things change all the time. Every facility is different. Things break, things run smoother, longer than you thought. They can be better or worse. And if you don't have the right people and the right people who you can ask questions and rely on to answer those questions or give you feedback, or they don't want to talk to you, if you don't foster those relationships, then you know you're not going to get anywhere. And so I've always kind of led first with a relationship, friendly relationship first, and got to know people before I really started to before you realize, like, okay, this is someone I can lean on and ask questions about, and do a favor for, with the anticipation of maybe getting a favor in return later. Because at the end of the day, like, everybody who is in the facility you're working in is a part of a broader team. And, like, you need to have those relationships that, A, to keep the work environment good, but B, to get the work done. You want to have friendly relationships going at all times. I think that's the best way to get through, or get through any job. But that's the biggest lesson I've kind of learned is just making sure you're friendly enough and you're outgoing, and That way when things do, you know, shit the bed, you got people on your back who have your back, who can kind of help you get through any kind of situation that you're up against. So, that's kind of the biggest thing I'd say, among many others, I'm sure. But
No, I would agree, man. I would agree, and a lot of people have said this, and most of us will spend more time with the people we work with than we do at home in any given week. So,
yeah,
not only to get the job done, but actually enjoy the company you're with all week as well. I mean, it's not necessary. It's certainly an added benefit, right?
yeah, I'm not one of those guys who's coming just to get my job done, clock in, clock out. Um, I'm there to make relationships, make friends, ask about people's weekends, see what other people have common interests that we can talk about, and then, in general, just make the work environment a little bit more pleasant for everybody. So, but yeah, you're right. You spend more time with the people at work than, even people at home. And, as I just got a baby, and my wife's telling me, oh, you gotta get home from work a little earlier every day so you can spend more time with the family. And it's like, yeah, I know, and it's not, I don't like to stay at work late, but at least while I'm there, it's not absolutely miserable and I'm just kind of a shut down. It's good to have uh, people there who you can have conversations with and everything and get through the day.
100%.
Yeah.
Congrats again, by the way. How is the babe?
Oh, he's good. Yeah, he's good. He's 4 months. He's got some good neck strength. It's funny when they're young, you're just trying to I'm like trying to push so hard on teaching him all these things. And he's not, I don't know what he's grasping or not, but I was just before this, I have a piano downstairs. I grew up playing piano and I took lessons growing up and playing piano for him. And he's kind of looking at my fingers and, like, I'm like, I think he might pick up on this a little bit. He might be hearing what's going on, but
That
you
defines
know,
starting them early. Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun though. It's a good time. Thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I was gonna jump back to something that we had discussed at one point or another, and I think I don't know what the words were, like, "Be ready for the worst case, plan for." There was something you shared about that scenario, I believe.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember what we were talking about. It was you know, a safety manager I used to work with, he had this like mindset of, you know, from a safety professional, you know, he looked at every different possibility of what could go wrong, you know? And I'm involved heavily in safety and I work in safety and it's kind of like our one of our core values. But, as someone who does like facilities management, project management, I try to think of this in the same kind of way of thinking of like, you know, what are we not thinking about? What are we going to do when we have this project where we're upgrading an equipment or we're moving equipment in or we're getting rid of equipment out? What kind of barriers are we going to hit when we get to that point? And if trying to stay on top of like that stuff that's like the biggest thing because you know you might not hit all those roadblocks, but if you've thought about a couple of those as early as possible and you've kind of put them up as like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, but A, B, and C could be potential issues. Let's go try to figure out what we would do in that situation. You know, things are just going to go a little bit smoother. They might
Of
not
course.
be, if you've thought about it and you've kind of had conversations with your team about those issues that could come up, then you're a little bit more prepared and it's a lot easier to digest, as opposed to getting a curveball that nobody was even thinking about. Because those will come too. But
Undoubtedly.
if you can hit on some of the curveballs and even if you're just shanking it off to right field and out into the foul zone, it's at least you're prepared for it a little bit. At least it's not something you weren't ready for. So I always try to think about like roadblocks and constraints that might come up and the different people who you might affect or might need to bring in um when those things kind of come up. That's kind of like, I it's just a way of thinking that not everybody in facilities, has that kind of mindset or thinks about that. And I give credit to an old safety manager I used to work with for kind of instilling that sort of, frame of mind into me and then I took that and like applied it to the project management, facilities management world. And, um, it's definitely proven more valuable than not, obviously. So,
It sounds like fantastic preparedness, readiness, awareness.
yeah.
So you, you oversee two significantly sized sites. So if you're looking at these things, how do you stay ahead of it? Is there a cadence to walkthroughs? Is there a written plan? How do you do that?
Hmm. Uh, there's not a prescribed plan. I wish there was a written kind of process for how we do things because, even with project management and working for a client like P&G, plans aren't always fully developed when you get started. So you could say, hey, we're going to start here and we're going to end here, and through that we're going to hit A, B, C, D. We're going to do our initial walkthrough, and then we're going to develop a scope of work, and then we're going to go for funding. And we're going to put a project out to bid to a couple subcontractors, and then we're gonna hire them, and they're going to come in and do the work, and then they're going to invoice, and we're going to be done. That's kind of that's great on paper, but at any point in that, the scope could change. The subcontractor could say, "Oh, we're not interested," or we're delayed 3 months, or a pandemic could happen, like so, I we have like a sort of baseline couple things that we always like to hit, with when we kind of develop a project. But I mean, I've got a pretty solid team. I've got two guys who work down in Boston who do really well, good work down there, who are a lot more experienced. They come from the trades, and then I've got a safety manager and another, construction manager who I oversee up in Andover, and those guys. Are a little bit, I know they're on the younger side, so they're a little bit more adaptable to change and kind of see that. And it's trying to find that common balance between, doing the things that work and trying to change things. That's a hard balance to find within my team. Um,
Within a
and
lot of teams.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
have a lot of different generations of people who work, and trying to find how those two can kind of, become a hybrid that works, very functionally, is tough. It's not easy, but it is, you know, at least I do have at least my team is good. We have experience. We've seen a lot of different things, and then we work for a lot of different clientele at P&G. We don't just have one contact that, you know, we uh we work with all the time. We work with all different types of personalities and people who want a project to go one way or another, and have different expectations. So, you know, finding that balance is also challenging as to, okay, this person is very on top of the ball with everything. We don't have to hold their hand as much through a project as we might need to someone who's a little bit newer on the P&G end, and kind of coach them up on what our process is. Um, and we it's also a unique scenario in my situation. I guess it's not really unique, but it's something that a lot of sites have, but not every site has like a dedicated construction management and kind of facilities team that they subcontract out to work there full time. So we are a subcontractor working on a client site, and we do um there is a barrier of like who, between us and them, and you know people have different processes that they like to follow, and it's hard, that's challenging, but it also makes it fun because you work with a lot of different people, a lot of new faces, a lot of different projects. There's all sorts of things that come up that you know you were never expecting to even see or experience, and not to mention the size of these plants. It's like you talk to someone and they bring you out down into some room that you're like, I didn't even know this room was here. This place is so big. I'm discovering a new spot every day. So, yeah, but yeah, it's definitely a good time, and a good spot to be, and finding the balance is definitely a challenge, but it does make it interesting.
I love how you have a positive outlook on like every challenge you just listed. It's you said it's a good time. Yeah, that's an awesome way to look at it. How do you communicate with so you have your team, you've got 2
Yep.
sites, and you just went through all different departments at P&G who look at things differently. So how do you maintain that level of communication and should I say adaptability with personalities?
Yeah. Communication is obviously, I think with any facilities manager, communication is the hardest thing to try to get right. We've gone through a few iterations of how we communicate from, we just send out an email, or, so we do a couple of things. We send out a 2-week look ahead with everything that we're doing every week. So everyone can hop into there, see our little schedule, and see what's coming up that might be in their area for the next 2 weeks. And then we send out something that's a daily trigger. So here's what's happening tomorrow, right?
Mm.
Um, and so those
From
are
the
kind of
2
our
week. Is that what you
from the
mean? You've
two.
got the 2
Yeah.
week and then the daily trigger.
Yep. So we had
Okay.
the 2 week, which we send out once a week, and then every day, every afternoon, someone on my team sends out, here's what's going on tomorrow, just as like a reminder. Those are our two biggest forms of communication out. On top of that, it's just walking in the field, walking around the plant, you know, talking to the people every day, like, hey, you might not have clicked your email, but heads up, this is happening tomorrow, or this is happening in a couple days. Are you able is your team able to support this? And usually it's like, yeah, I'm aware of it. I did check my email, but sometimes it comes as a shock, and you're like, okay, well, just a refresher, here's what's going on. So in that in-person communication is definitely important, but you got to have some backing to at least say you're doing your due diligence and trying to communicate. The other thing that we haven't really rolled out that's coming up that we're trying to roll out this year is it's this a service called Textedly. Because a lot of times what we do, like, for example, if we bring in a crane, and we're going to be lifting over a portion of the building, we always have to our policy is that we always have to clear out under the crane. Any personnel who are going to be working underneath where the crane might be swinging, we have to clear that out. Now, in a tall, high-rise building like some of them down in Boston, it's a little bit more difficult, but Andover is kind of one story, so it makes it a little
Mhm.
easier. But the service that we're trying to roll out it's called Textedly. It's like basically you would volunteer to sign up to get notifications right to your phone. It's kind of like an automated text service.
Hmm.
And we're trying to roll that out as like a morning of, like, hey, FYI, this parking lot's closed, or this we have a crane pick in this area today. Make sure you're prepared for, not being in your office between the hours of 7 and 9 or whatever. And that's something
Sounds
we're
fantastic.
trying to roll out, but you need to get people to sign up for it, which is going to be a little challenge. So we got to figure out how we want to get people, you know, uh, to sign up for that, and how this is only gonna benefit you, like, you're not gonna get spammed with ads and stuff, We're not trying to do that, but, we're just trying to keep people informed, and, the more you can keep people informed, the better, the more smooth your work's gonna go, so, um,
Now,
yeah, so
Gabe, are you
that's go ahead.
sorry, just a question on that. Are you talking department heads, cell leaders, or all personnel, all employees?
Anybody who wants to know what's going on and be aware of it, we're trying to get as many people to sign up as possible, so that it's less of a surprise when they come up to some cones and some signage saying, hey, this area is closed. Like, we're
Got
trying to
it.
get people to stay ahead of it. But yeah, I mean, in theory, everybody, anyone, department heads and just people who are working there.
Got it. I think I cut you off. I cut your stride there, man. Sorry.
No, you're good. No,
You good?
I'm just rambling over here, so feel free
It's
to stop me anytime.
no, no, it's good stuff. What just still on the biz note, what about compliance? We did touch on that a couple times over the past, call it, year, right? And like, what are you faced with? These are, again, these are large facilities. You're in a manufacturing environment. What's the oversight look like? Internal, external, and how do you handle it?
So, yeah. So internally with P&G, we have a lot of different standards that we have to, work within. We have they have like these annual audits of our safety and kind of like construction management quality program that we sit down and we have a whole checklist of things that we talk about. And is this program, do you have this program? How well is it performing? Do you have this program? How well is it performing? We go through a whole list of safety and quality and construction management. And the safety piece, we do really well. I'm lucky to have a very talented safety manager who's just on the ball with everything, and he takes things and he runs with them, and he makes new forms, he updates trainings. He tries to make everything as digestible and as functional as
Mm,
possible. So from a safety standpoint, we do really well. Down in Boston, we have about, I think it's like 25, we're coming up on 2,500 days safe. And in Andover, we're coming up on like 800 something.
well
So
done.
yeah, thank you. It's, cause that's the priority is safety. And that's sort of like the internal, it's a compliance thing, obviously, but at the same time, having those programs is in place is sort of the compliance thing. But at the end of the day, safety comes down to just caring about the person who's working for you and who's getting it done and making sure that they are going home to their families the same way they came in. So we try to approach it from that instead of a compliance thing, try to get through to the person that's coming to the site for a day who's, you know, just coming on site and doing some, it might just be a day of work, might be a week of work, it might be a couple months, but we try to get through to them that like, hey, we're here to support you. And but anyway, I mean, back to compliance, from a safety standpoint, I'd say we do really well with all of our programs. From another kind of piece, from a quality piece, is we work in production environments where they're making products. They're making you know shaving creams and shaving gels and soaps and
Mm,
razors and all this stuff. And you got to think about how, and as like a construction manager, you have to think about how that's your work is going to impact that. And
mhm.
they have quality standards for certain types of things, and times where we need to set up curtains to protect you know the process from construction, whether it's dust or debris from a ceiling tile or something like that. So we work closely with the quality teams on, hey, this work is coming up, here's our plan for controlling the construction environment, whether that's just setting up some curtains or some negative air machines to control airflow and things like that, and kind of get approval on that stuff. um and then obviously there's like building code, right? So when we do
Mhm.
work that requires pulling building permits, and we have plumbers doing plumbing and electricians who are doing a major equipment install, like, you have to obviously make sure you're hiring people who are competent so that when you bring in a building inspector and they come to look at the work, they're not going to find a bunch of things and say, no, you got to tear it out and redo it. So, we rely heavily on like embedded subcontractors that we've worked with for many years. To kind of do the work that we collect their licenses, and we track all that stuff to make sure that they're a good business. So every year they go through like an annual requalification. You guys are still in good business. You're still approved from a safety standpoint. Your safety numbers haven't gone way downhill, and where we'd have to kick you off site or anything like that. So we do that once a year. But from a building code kind of standpoint, and we rely heavily on our subcontractors and the general contractors that we bring in to sort of communicate with us on the different types of things that we need to inspect and get done right the first time, right? Because that's when you have to come back and rework things. everybody loses money. Nobody wants to touch something twice. So,
And you
um,
disrupt process, and your business unit is down, and the trickle effect, right, or the domino effect.
yeah, exactly.
Gabe, I'll say too, obviously we've seen the documentation you're talking about, and it's very, very thorough.
Yeah,
It's extremely thorough. You guys do a really good job of vetting everything about an outside resource, in our
yeah.
opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we try to stay on top of it. We added, I mean, we do like even just from we so my I've got a team, up for in floor. We have like a procurement team that kind of handles all of that sort of initial vetting and getting people on board. But then on top of that, me and my team do another layer of pre-qualification that basically we ask you a question of like, hey, we're making these changes. We're so one thing we're doing is we're pushing to this like lean construction sort of
Mhm.
methodology and tools and tenants. And one thing we're doing this year is we, do a annual partner selection where we kind of basically ask you how do you guys perform as a company? What are some kind of projects you've done that, you might say like, "Hey, this one went well," and what are some examples of that? But also, like, are you willing to play ball with this kinda new sort of methodology for how we run?
Mhm.
Are you willing to improve with us, so that's something we're going through now that I think is just gonna add another layer of like, yeah, we have the right people, we have the right people here who are gonna be working with us. So, um, yeah, it's a lot of work just vetting, but it does pay off in the long run when, you avoid those scenarios I was talking about earlier. So
Oh, sure. Peace of mind on the upfront, and you'll have a predictable result, right?
yeah,
A
yeah,
much
exactly.
more predictable result, I'd say,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
you're right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
I'm gonna jump back one just because there's so much here that you guys do. Is there any inspection process that comes through? Do you have to get ready for any, whether it be outside or customer or internal, like walkthrough inspection that, Gabe and team has to prep for?
Yeah, we have one coming up this Thursday, Friday. We have so Floor does its own internal audits, so they'll send out somebody so somebody's coming out this week to do an inspection on our rigging program. So it's more for the floor sites that have like self-perform people doing floor rigging, like who work for floor. We have all
Okay.
subcontractors, so it's not going to be as intense, but so we have like those types of audits where people come out and we sort of prepare, make sure all of our documents are in order and we have everybody's licenses and everything has been inspected, all of the rigging and equipment has been inspected and we have all that stuff in place. So that we have those types of things. They because it's not like you know, then there's also like we could have DEP visits, we could have OSHA luckily we haven't had any OSHA visits, but those are the types of things that could come up. DEP, EPA, OSHA, those sort of departments that, we try to stay ready for.
Mhm.
You don't want to wait until they show up to just, try to backtrack and say, "Oh god, we gotta get all this stuff together."
Of
You
course.
wanna always be ready for that. And I think a lot of the systems we have in place um, are in an attempt to prepare for those things. So we usually end up doing pretty good. And like if the DEP comes to a P&G site, it's not really the on-site construction team who needs to be involved, but we'll definitely take, the findings from those audits and help them sort of correct them, and say like, oh, well, this might be something that, you know, we already do, and you guys can apply this, you can apply this sort of tactfulness to say like, oh yeah, no, you guys do that too. Or, by having us on site, you check that
Right.
box. So, um, but yeah, no, usually nothing too crazy for like site walks or things like that, that are directly involved with us, but we help P&G out by being there for them and kind of giving our insight and expertise into like, you know, here's how you might check that box, or here's how you might, prepare for this, or here's how we can fix this. Like they had they had an audit for last year where they had some outages and where we had safety shower locations. You know, they obviously came to us and were like, okay, we need to add on all these safety showers. Like, can you help us do that? And that's where we jump in. We say, absolutely.
Mm.
Let's get some drawings going. Um, get this thing going. And we did. We got them all in, and now they're in compliance. So they're in
It sounds like
compliance. So
a
yeah,
very, very good complementary system.
yeah,
You guys with the team on, well, you are the team on site, but with the P&G team, it's just, I don't know if redundancy is the word. Not really. It's more complementary, I would say,
yeah, yeah. It
right?
is complimentary. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's definitely a way of putting it. And that's kind of where we really try to show our value is like, you aren't just hiring us to come in, do one thing and leave. We're a continuous site presence. So we have to complement each other. And
Right.
you guys have to help us improve our programs and we'll help you improve your programs at the same time. So yeah, complementary for sure.
Awesome. Gabe, this is good stuff. So, for over a half hour now, we've been learning a lot from you about your business. And I don't know, man. I think the audience would like to know a little bit more about you. And
Yeah.
I dropped a little hint early on and said two words: hot sauce. Right.
Yeah.
So we can go
Yeah.
way back to when Gabe was 5. We can go wherever you want to go. But if we land on hot sauce at some point, I think that'd be pretty cool. What do you What do you want to tell us?
um, well, I grew up in Connecticut. I went to University of New Hampshire, and I've snowboarded my whole life. And from New Hampshire, I got a job in Boston, doing like environmental type stuff. And I went to school for construction and ended up in a construction job, which not many people can say about, hey, I got a degree and then I ended up using it. So that was pretty cool. I did construction management, and then I did my bachelor's degree. I had an associate's degree in construction management, which was like my first 2 years. And then I got a bachelor's degree in urban planning and like environmental like city planning, which is really
Wow.
cool. It's still kind of like a passion of mine. I would love to be like on like my where I live in Newbury. Like one day I want to be on like the planning board and just kind of be involved in the town. Like
Nice.
I've
Do
always
it.
I've yeah, I know, I really
Yeah.
should. I gotta figure all that stuff out. I've only been here for 3 years, so I feel like I need to get some years under my belt before I can start pitching in and becoming a true local. But um but yeah, so I moved into the city, then I moved up to North Shore, Mass, and I'm loving it up here. Me and my wife got a house up here in the middle of the pandemic, and you know, I didn't know anything about the North Shore, Mass, but now I'm like discovering Gloucester and Ipswich and all these towns around here. And I mountain bike, so I mountain bike in all the woods around here, and that's always fun. And I at home I have a garden. I grow peppers and I grow like tomatoes and all sorts of things in my garden out back here. And I also I got a close buddy who's a farmer in Gloucester, and he grows a lot of peppers for me. And so I got into hot sauce making maybe 8 to 10 years ago, and it was just started as like um my brother and I have always been into hot sauce. I remember one time he gave me like this hot sauce called Mad Dog 357, and it is like it's still
What a great name.
it is it's disgusting, but it's like the hottest hot sauce you can get. And I remember like hating it, but also being like, man, that was hot. That was an experience. Like after the pain went away and I felt better, I was like, not that I want to get to there, but like there might be something in between like Frank's and there. And I was just curious about like how to make it. So I started going to the grocery store and just trying to make it and making, a couple bottles at a time. And I did it a couple times, and then I sort of got uh I sort of got to the interest point of like I like finding cool ingredients and like going to different farm stands and trying different peppers and fruit. And and juices and ways I can like sort of craft my own little, flavor, right? Um, and so
So you
I,
pretty much freelanced it. Like you didn't you went off script. You
yeah,
made your own stuff right from the start. Like
yeah.
your own recipe.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and since then I've like followed some recipes, but it's not as fun for I don't care about a recipe. I just want to make, I'll write down what I make, but like I'll grow my own peppers and I'll see like kind of what peppers came in better. And my buddy who's a farmer in Gloucester, he gave me these peppers they're called Crimson Lee peppers. And they're like sort of like a jalapeno hot, but they're also super sweet.
Hmm.
Um, so I've been kind of using those for a couple of years in a conjunction with habaneros and ghost peppers and jalapenos, and then throwing in like some fruit and some, you know, coconut water, or I've made like a pesto hot sauce. And,
What
I've
kind of
made
fruit would
in
you throw in?
like peaches, strawberries. I did cantaloupe one time, maybe a combination of a couple of them. I did a blueberry hot sauce one time. I try to focus on, like, the color that I'm gonna get out of it, so,
Sure.
I'll just be like, "Okay, I wanna do, like a dark blue type sauce," and I'll think, "Okay, blueberries, I'll do plums, I'll make, like, a preserve out of some of those, and then I'll do, darker peppers, so, like, chocolate habaneros or, like, black jalapenos," and I'll try to get that, like, dark color that I envision in my head and see how it turns out. And you know, some of them have been great. Some of them I haven't really liked that well, and I've tried
Experimenting.
fermenting a couple times and I've had bottles just explode on me and, so it's not a perfect science, but it's definitely like a fun hobby that I like. And from that, I've gotten really into like collecting different hot sauces and stuff like that. And yeah, it's been fun. I'll sell them. I'll give them away. I'll trade them. I'll bring them as housewarming gifts. For my brother's wedding and one of my buddies' weddings, I made like a whole batch and they had them on all the tables and everything. And,
That's awesome.
my wife, she like designs labels and stuff like that and we'll put them on it. So, it's a whole thing and it's a lot of fun. And, maybe one day it'll be like a business. It's sort of hard. There's so many hot sauces on the market. It's hard to if I were to like do it full time, it would have to be like, I'm not doing this for financial benefit. Like I'll retire and I'll make hot sauce and
Sure.
sell it, like I'm not going to become a millionaire making hot sauce, but
Never know, man. You never
I
know.
know that's what
Wait,
people tell me, but it's like, I
does it
don't
have
know.
a brand name?
So Bud's Burner.
Bud's Burner. I
Yeah.
love it. That's great.
Yeah. Yep. So,
That's great. And
obviously
then
like
Bud's
taste
Burner,
bud.
like sub names below, like Bud's Burner,
Oh,
Ghost.
I'll change the name every time. I live on River Street, so I called like the first one I made in my house, the River Street Sizzler. We called the one that we made for my buddy's wedding. His dog's name is Jim, and his he had a picture of Jim on the front, so we just called it like Jim's hot sauce. And so they all have different names. Yeah, they all have different names. So there's no like, nothing that we use every time. I make like there's a strawberry peach one that I make pretty consistently now, and I just call that one Sizzler now. So, Bud's Burner Sizzler.
Nice. That
Yeah,
sounds delicious.
it's
So,
great. I'll have to get you some, man.
oh, I'll be a customer. I'll buy it from you, man.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, sure.
so what do you put it on? You put it on wings? Yes, no,
Yeah.
or
Oh yeah, wings. People have told me eggs like all day. Eggs are,
okay.
with my hot sauce. Some of the hot sauces I make are good on eggs. I made that blueberry one I was telling you about. That's great on like Thanksgiving dinner. I've heard that from a lot of people, like turkey, potatoes. Like that's what I want this one on. So yeah, all different types of things. But people like weird hot sauces on everything. So it's kind of up to the person who's eating it. And but eggs is a pretty consistent thing to put the sizzler on. So that's what people tell me they like it the best on. So
It's fantastic.
yeah.
The many sides of Gabe. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bud's Burner.
Bud's Burner, homegrown. My brother also grows peppers for me, so he sent he'll come up. He lives down in Connecticut, and he'll make a whole bunch of them. And drop off like a big thing, peppers for me on my front door and be like, "Hey, I dropped you some peppers. Make sure I get a
Nice.
couple bottles,"
So
Yeah.
you said you have your own garden too. Do you grow?
Yeah, I've got 6 beds in my backyard, that I made 4 more last year. And I grow, yeah, I grow all kinds of stuff. I love being in the garden, and I have 2 beds that were just for peppers, and then I do a whole bunch of different types of tomatoes. I've tried cucumbers. I wouldn't say I'm the best gardener. It's sort of a challenge, and I don't get a ton of sunlight in my backyard because I got a whole bunch of trees. But I get enough. I can definitely produce a little bit, and it usually ends up pretty good. And sometimes I tried to grow like zucchinis last year. I didn't get a single damn zucchini, but I got a whole bunch of zucchini flowers. So, you know, it's like a hobby. I try not to take anything too seriously. I don't want to
Good
be so
attitude, man.
invested that I, end up not liking doing it. So,
Does your wife like the hot sauce? Will she eat it?
yeah, she's on a little bit of a hot sauce hiatus now, being a new mom and breastfeeding and everything.
Right.
She doesn't want the spice to get through to the milk. I'm not sure if
Sure.
that's even a thing, but yeah, she's been on a bit of a hiatus, but she's definitely passionate about it with me. She likes my sauce. She's always giving me critiques and ideas, and she'll try the new hot sauces that I buy off Amazon or at the farmer's market or whatever. So yeah, she likes it too. So we're spice heads.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to try it. Can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to get you some. I'll draft some off for you.
Sweet. Gabe, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for spending all this time with us. And,
Yeah.
so we've got, is there a website or anything? Buds Burner? Like, how can people, if they want, now they've heard it, if they want it, how do they get it? How do they get in touch with you? We can drop it in the notes, whatever you want.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. I mean, I don't have a website. I did at one point, but it got to that point where this is too much. I don't. This is too much responsibility. Yeah, gjbuds@gmail.com. Shoot me an email if you want any. I got plenty left over from this last year. I plan on making another batch in a couple weekends, and happy to let the masses try it out. So yeah,
Fantastic,
shoot
man.
me an email. I'll get back to you.
Nice. Thank you so
So
much, Gabe.
yeah, of
And
course.
for the audience too, if you love hot sauce, get in touch with Gabe. If you heard something cool, you learned something about facilities, feel free to reach out and pass it along to somebody else. So thank you again, Gabe.
Yeah, Jay, no
All right,
problem.
man.
Thank you, man.
Take care.
Take care.
It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Colutus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.